So I don't know if this has really been covered yet, but there's plenty of used copies of The Last of Us Part 2 popping up quite a bit. I was able to find a used copy pretty easily, actually, on Facebook Marketplace. And I've seen some on Twitter popping up. Here's one right here. Lord Sleepin' Pizza, just like as reported by YellowFlash guy, The Last of Us 2 is traded into a shop in record time. But hey, it's a masterpiece, right? There's reports of a store in Australia not accepting pre-order or trade-ins on the game at this time. I don't know how long that lasts or if they're going to keep that going, but from what I've been seeing, if you want to get the game used and not give Naughty Dog any of your money, it seems like that is possible. Amazon, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, and of course, probably GameStop. I'm sure you could try your luck there. I think within a week or two, you're going to see a lot of used copies of this game in stores. That's one of the benefits of physical copies, is you can at least recoup some of your money. So I thought this was funny. I thought I'd have to wait at least a week to find my copy, but it's funny seeing people posting these already. I think that's pretty humorous. I am going to live stream on Saturday and probably talk about the game, among some other things. So make sure you tune in on Saturday and check out the stream. But yeah, if you're looking for a used copy, I don't think you're going to have any problem finding one. However, the simping for the game continues. I thought this was really funny. So this comes from Inverse. And look at the title for this. Last of Us Part 2 does a Halo 2's plot twist even better. What a horrible sentence. And Inverse is actually a decent-sized website. And this is your headline. Does a Halo 2's plot twist even better? Now, what are they referring to here? Well, they're talking about if you've never played Halo 2, you probably should. Halo 2 is a fantastic game. The first 3 Halos are very good. I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to get into a debate on the rest of the Halos, but the first 3 are good. 2 is the best one out of them all. I think most people agree on that. Now, what is the point of this article? Well, they're trying to compare The Last of Us 2 to Halo 2 for a couple of reasons. The big one is the idea there and how you play a hero and a villain and understand the villain. So in Halo 2, you had Master Chief and you had the Arbiter. Okay, Master Chief was the hero of the human army, and then you had the Arbiter, who was on the side of the Covenant. He was basically their Master Chief. You took turns playing as either character, and then eventually they teamed up. That doesn't happen in The Last of Us 2. But the idea is they're saying, well, people liked that game, and it was kind of controversial because people wanted to play as Master Chief. Not the same thing at all. Trying to compare this game to that game I find kind of disgraceful. But it's just another horrible take. I just wanted to point that out. Like, this is the lengths that they're going to justify this game. Is okay, well, now it does Halo 2 twist better. Highly disagree. Halo 2 is a truly legit masterpiece that was loved by fans and journalists. That's back maybe when you guys had a little bit more integrity. I'm not sure, but yeah. So this is just one of the hot takes coming out of the media right now. I'm not sure if that hot take is bigger than this one. Just look at this headline. The Last of Us 2's pandemic survival doesn't stand up against real-world lockdowns and BLM. They're directly comparing The Last of Us 2 to the BLM events and our own real-life lockdown. And then basically go on to get a really hot take on, stuff like BLM. I'm not going to get into that. What I wanted to do is to show how they'll use this game and how they'll use the game to push their political ideology. Because you always got to remember, these game journalists, they're not real journalists. They're not even really gamers. And this applies to like comic book mediums and movie sites and stuff like that. Basically anything with entertainment. The journalists that work in those areas, they're more activists. And they want to push their ideology, push out people that have a different one so that they can pretty much dominate the space and change it as a win for a culture fight. That's really what that is. So This is ridiculous. I'm not even going to go through this article because it's disgusting. But I wanted to show you some of the stuff that's out there right now, and I thought this is a really good example. Speaking of Last of Us 2 stuff, here's another one. Neil Druckmann comments on the possibility of The Last of Us 3. Already out there talking about a sequel. I would calm down on that one, Neil, just a little bit, because I wouldn't be so sure that this is going to get a sequel. It's selling well right now, but I'm seeing used copies pop up quite a bit, and I really wonder, as word of mouth spreads on the game, the people that aren't going to rush out to get a new game, how is this game going to be perceived by them? Is this game going to be selling around Christmas very well? What's the long-term sales for this? I really wonder, and I don't think they're going to be very good. I think the game is going to sell good initially, and it's going to make a lot of its money back, probably a little bit more. But I don't think it's going to see the love and sales records that the first one had. I don't. Maybe I'll be wrong. I don't know. But I would be a little careful on already rushing out to make a Last of Us 3. What would that game even be about? It seems like Ellie's story is done. You really think people are going to want to play as Abby? You think Abby is going to sell? Oh, please do that, Neil. Please, I take it back. Do a Last of Us 3 and make Abby the main character. Please do it. Please do it. Oh my God, I would love it. Finally, I wanted to cover this. So here's an interesting story from Mitch Dyer, former IGN employee, who admits that they've published garbage before and lied to smear Naughty Dog in some ways. So I want to go over this because this is actually like really big news here. So check this out. Let's read through this. Solidarity with my IGN coworkers who endured the emotional terror from Tal Blevins and Steve Butts. In my time from 2012 to 2016, I felt taken advantage of, exploited, and manipulated, and afraid for my job at nearly every turn. And I was one of the lucky ones working for them. When Tal wanted something done or didn't agree with something I said, which happened often as an IGN employee, they were mostly amazing people pushing them to do better. He would CC Steve to intimidate me into following through with his request. These guys stayed at $3,000 Airbnbs while employees shared rooms in roach hotels. When we pushed to have our own rooms, which I'm pretty sure they legally had to oblige, they told us to deal with it because the company doesn't have money. BS. In 2014, I was halfway through my work permit timeline, and I opened conversations with Steve about renewing it in 2016. For 2 years, I was uncertain if I would have a job or would be allowed to stay in the country because I never got a positive answer. Steve Butts and Tal Blevins reprimanded staff for standing up for friends. They created a culture of fear among the best people I've ever known. We only had each other. None of us knew what to do to feel better about facing these guys every day. So here's where he gets to Naughty Dog. Now, he's going to talk about the really popular writer that Naughty Dog used to have, who left, and the conspiracy theory is that she left because Neil pushed her out. But let's go in and hear what Mitch has to say. When I reported on Amy leaving Naughty Dog, Steve Butts and Tal Blevins forced gossip into the story. They heard it was a hostile takeover. We didn't want to publish it. I tried to take my name off the story. They would not allow me to do so. They forced an unproven claim into IGN.com with my name on it against my will to protect their relationship with Sony. When Sony justifiably condemned our story, Steve and Tal went silent. They never went to bat for me for a second. That's funny. To protect their relationship with Sony. Doesn't that sound like we've been saying? Like how they don't want to upset companies? And this is why games like The Last of Us 2 get a 10 out of 10. I'm just saying. So, to Neil Druckmann and Bruce Straley, who were caught in the crossfire of IGN's hostile, toxic leadership, I'm so sorry. I'm responsible for the anger, disgust, and disappointment you lived with then, and I'll never forgive myself for buckling beneath these manipulative monsters. These are the guys who would later publish a story on IGN.com slating The Last Guardian is canceled. When we confronted them about publishing this unsubstantiated, hilarious BS story without consulting the news team, they said, "You should have chased this." When I pushed for a promotion, I was told, "Not until you say yes more." They wanted someone to agree with their wretched decision-making and horrible leadership practices. I got a cost of living raise every year and nothing more. That's actually not, that's still pretty, that's usually like $1 or something depending on where you live. But anyway, and nothing more, nothing was ever enough to earn you anything. Steve Butts and Tal Blevins are responsible for creating an unsafe and toxic work environment that torpedoed my mental health, and it is much worth for many more. And that's pretty much the end. You can pause and read the last two if you want, but that's pretty significant little story there. Now, the big thing for me is, of course, admitting that they wanted to protect their relationship with Sony, and then Sony didn't quite like the story, so they went silent. And I'll let Mitch here take the blame. But the big thing for me is IGN pushing garbage and wanting to suck up to Sony and lick their boots. I think everyone's saying that, these people are a bunch of bootlickers is pretty valid. And here's the other thing. This is from a few years ago. So a lot of people have left IGN from what I've seen. I don't really follow them anymore, but a lot of the people that I did like really aren't there anymore. And it sounds like the only people that are left at IGN are yes men who will do their best to go above and beyond for the company. Kind of makes sense now why they never covered any of the abuse that Sony and Naughty Dog did to channels and so on, and why they've been praising the games that they've been praising. Very interesting stuff, if you ask me. But anyway, that's all I got. If you're looking for a used copy of The Last of Us 2, I think you'll be able to find one. And the twisting and simping for the game continues in the media. And IGN is now confirmed to be a dump. And hopefully will go out of business because they're terrible. Anyway, give me your thoughts in the comments. What do you guys think about all this? Throw a like up, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.